You are listening to the Atlanta Real Estate Forum radio show, all about real estate edition, shining a light on the movers and shakers in the real estate industry, the home builders, developers, realtors, and suppliers making it all happen. And now, here are today's hosts.
Good morning and welcome back to the All About Real Estate edition. I am your host, Todd Schnick, joined by my friend and colleague, Carol Morgan. We do want to kick things off by thanking New American Funding for being our 2021 sponsor. Now our 10th year on the air. We are most grateful to them to be the supporter of this show. All right, Carol, we've had this gentleman and this organization on our show before and do critically important work for our industry, particularly very timely work as we record this. So I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Yeah, this is a topic that a lot of us in the industry are very passionate about, and this is sure to be a very fun conversation. So it is with great pleasure that I welcome Scott Sheelar, who's the president and CEO of CEFGA, to the show today. Welcome, Scott.
Hi, Carol. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.
Well, we're grateful that you carved out a few minutes for us, Scott. Thank you for giving us some time. Before we get into the important work of CEFGA, the Construction Education Federation of Georgia, take a few quick seconds, remind us a bit about you and your background.
Yeah, so I'm not an Atlanta native, but I've been in this city for a long time. I actually came here in 1993 to work on the Paralympic Games. That's what brought me to Atlanta, and I did that for 3 years, and then I said I didn't want to move to Sydney, Australia, and I wanted to put down roots in Atlanta, Georgia. I love this city, and I decided to get back to my roots, really, and that is construction. My grandfather was a residential developer in Florida, which is where I grew up, and he actually built the house that I grew up in. He built it out of concrete block, and so construction is in my blood. Decided to get back into the construction industry. And started working with a group called the Associated General Contractors of Georgia, the trade association, AGC, and worked with them for a couple of years. And it was there that I learned about our industry's need for skilled workers. I realized even back then, this was in 1998, the skilled worker shortage was a big deal. It's something that a lot of people were talking about, and I was fascinated by it. And I had an opportunity to come lead CEFGA. And that's how I ended up where I am today. That was in 1998. So I've been with CEFGA for 22 years now, and I love what I do. And we haven't solved the worker shortage, obviously. As your guests or as your audience knows, there's still a big issue. But we figured a lot of things out, and I feel like we're closer to knowing the solution and implementing the solution. And so just look forward to talking with you about that today.
And there's so many exciting opportunities out there, especially as you think of, young women and the ability to close that wage and gender gap. Construction pays on the dollar. Women make almost as much as men. It's closer than any other industry, which might surprise a lot of people to know that. But it's something, through my work with the National Association of Home Builders, there's a whole lot of us working it from different angles and different organizations. So I applaud the work that you're doing. Give us a little bit of a deeper dive into CEFGA and your mission and purpose.
Yeah. So in short, we put people of all ages and backgrounds and genders into work in the construction industry. We mainly focus on entry-level jobs. That's our niche, is, preparing people to get their start in the industry. And you raise a great point. It's a diverse industry. There are all sorts of opportunities. Our focus is more on the skilled trades and getting people into, careers in the electrical industry, mechanical, carpentry, plumbing, masonry. But there are all sorts of jobs. You can come in and you can, work in development, commercial, residential, general contracting, and then even within general contracting, you have estimating. And I mean, it's crazy how big our industry is when you stop and think about it, and you think about all of the opportunities. And the crazy thing is, right now, even in the middle of this pandemic, there are still thousands and thousands of job opportunities right here in Georgia. I track it on a daily basis, and I follow monster.com just as an example. And, today there are over 10,000 jobs right now in the construction industry across the state of Georgia. usually it works out to about half of those are in Metro Atlanta. So there are over 5,000 jobs right now in the middle of this pandemic, in the construction industry.
Just need the skilled workers to fill them.
That's right.
So when I think of CEFGA, I think of all the great historical live in-person events that you used to host. Obviously, the world changed in 2020, and there's been a major shift to social media and leveraging those platforms. And it's, from what I'm hearing, it's booming for you guys. So talk more about that whole shift.
The way we phrase it, we say it was forced innovation. We were clicking along in 2020, and as you said, our biggest event, what we're most well known for, is our Career Expo. And, it was crazy. Last year, we were in the middle of our Career Expo at the Georgia World Congress Center. We had over 9,000 people registered for that event, to give you an idea of how big it is. And our event was the week that the COVID news broke. I believe it was March 11th and 12th. It was sort of the week that the wave crashed down on the world, really. We were right in the middle of our event. And, we ended up doing the event on day one, and we canceled the event on day two because it was Thursday, Friday. And if you'll recall, Friday was the day that all the schools shut down. And as soon as they started shutting down the schools, we knew what we needed to do. And so we pulled the plug midstream, and it was probably the hardest professional decision I've ever had to make, because there's so much that goes into that event, and we affect so many lives, young people and adults too. The adults love the event just as much as the kids. But the cool thing is, it forced us to figure out, what other ways can we connect with people and make them aware of our industry. And in many ways, it's made us a more efficient organization, because we're able to connect with people all over the world now, for that matter. I was going to say the country, but we have people dialing into our Facebook programming and tuning in from all parts of the world. So if you think about it that way, we're connecting with a lot more people in a lot more places around the world. And two of our more successful programs are our Facebook Live event that we do every Tuesday with Kayleen McCabe. She's a contractor on the Do It Yourself Network, and we started back in, I think, April. We started doing these Facebook Live sessions, and it's really just a way to educate people about the opportunities in our industry. Just to make sure that people know there are great opportunities available right now. And so we take 30 minutes every Tuesday and chat with Kayleen. Usually we have a different guest on, maybe somebody who works in the industry, maybe somebody who's a member of the National Association of Women in Construction, to talk about women working in the industry. And so we just come at it from different directions. The other thing we started doing that's been a huge hit is we launched a program called Little Builders, where we actually train elementary students on how to build small projects. And it's all virtual. Actually, again, Kayleen McCabe helps us with that. We got all these kits donated from the Home Depot. If you've ever been to a Home Depot on a Saturday morning, you know that they do these little kids workshops, where parents can work with their kids to build birdhouses or toolboxes and that sort of thing. Well, with COVID, they weren't able to do those workshops. So they donated literally thousands of those kits to our foundation. We're like, wow, what in the world are we going to do with these? We knew we wanted them, but we weren't sure exactly what we were going to do. We figured out we could ship them out to kids and schools, and we could build these projects virtually, through Zoom or Teams or whatever the platform is that the school wants to use. And we've already reached hundreds of students, and we are tracking to reach thousands of students in 2021. So again, that's not something we would have done before, but we were forced to become innovative, and we figured it out.
That's the one good thing that I think has come out of the pandemic, is forcing innovation as it relates to technology. And I think in so many ways, our in-person meetings are great. And I'm looking forward to having that, especially as it relates to education, back in place. But think of how many more people you can reach, virtually than you could ever have reached just one-on-one. So I love that part of it. But there's definitely a need for Bob the Builder to come back, and for a focus on that, and for kids to realize they don't necessarily have to go to college to have a great have a great career and a great vocation.
That's exactly right, Carol. And one of the coolest things, I tune into some of these Little Builders programs that we do. And it's just so interesting to hear the questions from the kids. And you realize we always ask them, have you ever swung a hammer before? Have you ever actually nailed a, nail in a board? And most of them have not. I mean, something as simple as that. Kids aren't doing that these days. And so just giving them that opportunity to build a small project and swing a hammer and drive a nail in wood. In fact, on a personal level, I'll just share my daughter is 10 years old and she helps us with these workshops. She's what we call our mighty apprentice. She works with Kayleen and she is just so into it. And she made the comment the first few times she did it that it's just so satisfying to drive a nail into a board, and that's so true, especially for a lot of people who are, who enjoy working with their hands and creating. And the cool thing about this Little Builders program is we feel like we're releasing that. We're giving opportunity to students to find that passion, if it's inside of them. And so it's really exciting.
Well, I think you said the key word, our little apprentice. See, as a reader of history, you hear all kinds of discussion around apprenticeships, right? And that seems to have disappeared from our job training. And so I when you were talking at first about the Little Builders program, I was thinking this is kind of like a preliminary apprenticeship program and getting people aware of the possibilities in this industry. So intriguing stuff. I love it.
Very much so, Todd. In fact, apprenticeships are coming back, and you'll hear more and more about that here in Atlanta. There's a big move afoot for youth apprenticeships, and we're seeing more and more of that, not only in construction, but in many other sectors as well. So that's something you're going to see and hear more about in 2021. There are some really big funders like the Arthur M. Blank Family Foundation who want to see more of that, and the Marcus Foundation and the Foundation. There are a lot of groups that want to see more apprenticeship. And so you're gonna see and hear a lot more about that in 2021.
Great stuff.
I love your Facebook Live series, since we have a really great captive audience here of industry folks, as well as, just our listeners who are from any walk of life. Why don't you tell us a little bit about some of the different trades and people that you focused on Facebook Live, but then also tell us who are you looking to who are you looking to feature that you haven't interviewed yet or haven't worked with yet? And let's see if we can help you find some of those folks.
Yeah, so we have had a huge array of guests on our Facebook Live session. We've had representatives from Turner Construction and Holder Construction. We tend to like to talk to the people who are in the field, so like superintendents and that sort of thing. We had a great female superintendent from J.E. Dunn down in Savannah, who joined us a few weeks back. But we also go to special projects. So we had an interview with Plant Vogel and some of the folks on site over there, the nuclear power plant over toward Augusta. And so, it's just fascinating to learn about some of these projects that are going on in our state. And so we really take the opportunity to get to know people who work in our industry, and then also to highlight really exciting projects like Plant Vogel. I think in 2021, we're going to be talking to some folks from Centennial Yards, the project, downtown, talking to some folks from the airport and all the construction going on out there. And so we really are just looking for, I would say, unique people and projects to help tell our story about opportunities in our industry. So obviously, if any of your listeners fit that category, have them go to our website, CEFGA.org, and they can contact us through there. But yeah, we're always looking for new guests. We also will talk to people in education. In fact, last week we had an educator from DeKalb County. She specialized in helping kids transition from high school to career or college, depending on, where they were headed. And so we interviewed her. So it's not just about industry. It's also about connecting with educators and people in the education space to get their perspective on how we address the skilled labor shortage.
Fast credit approvals, accelerated loan processing, expedited underwriting. Call your New American Funding loan officer today to get pre-qualified. For more information, call New American Funding at 678-898-3540. That's 678-898-3540.
Good stuff. Well, kudos to leveraging that Facebook Live platform. So you're doing a lot of good with it. So let's shift now to some of your regular programming. Your Construction Ready program is one that intrigues me greatly. So tell us all about how that works.
Yeah, so Construction Ready is a program that we launched in partnership with the Arthur M. Blank Family Foundation back in 2014. You'll recall when Arthur Blank was building Mercedes-Benz Stadium, he wanted to put local residents to work on that project. Well, that's a $1.6 billion project. You can't just let anybody waltz onto a project like that. They have to have some basic training, basic skills, basic credentials. And so we partnered with his foundation to set up this entry-level training program that would take people specifically from the west side of Atlanta and train them in 20 days. It's a short, fast-paced program. It trained them and gave them up to 8 industry credentials, and then we helped them find an employment opportunity on Mercedes-Benz Stadium. And so we ended up placing about 170 West Side residents on Mercedes-Benz Stadium, doing everything. I mean, from the very beginning, pouring concrete, placing concrete, finishing concrete, building forms, all the way to the end of the project, there was a company that all they did was install stadium seating. That's another example of just, that's something you don't even think about, that
Right.
There is actually a company out there. All they do is travel around the world installing seats into these large stadiums that are being built. And so, but anyway, so that's what Construction Ready is it's a short-term program. It's completely free to the participant. They don't have to pay to go through the program. They have to give us their time, obviously, for the training, but in return, they get up to 8 industry recognized credentials like OSHA 10-hour, CPR first aid, NCCER. These are credentials that are recognized by industry. And probably the most important thing we do is we help them develop, what we call soft skills or professional skills, the importance of showing up on time, staying drug-free, getting along with your coworkers, that sort of thing. We really, we spend a lot of time on that. In fact, about a third of our time is spent on soft skills related training. And then we hand them off to our employers and they thrive. And so since 2014, we've trained over 1,100 Metro Atlanta residents through that program.
Kudos.
And the most exciting news for 2021 is that we received a grant from Governor Kemp's office to expand this program statewide. So right now, we're all over Metro Atlanta. But in 2021, we're going to Savannah, Augusta, and then up towards Athens as well. So it's an awesome program. It really changes lives, and we're and it's good for the industry too, because we need good people obviously coming in. So
that's phenomenal.
Exciting news.
Yeah, it's a great way to solve the construction labor shortage right there.
Yeah.
Well, you've got another program that I'm fascinated by. Tell us about Skills USA.
Yeah, so that's a whole separate nonprofit organization that we partner with. Skills USA is a national organization, and then there's Skills USA Georgia. So the way CEFGA partners with them is they do an annual event called their Skills USA competition. And that's where young students ages 14 up to 18 compete in things like carpentry, electrical, masonry, plumbing. They actually come in and build small projects. Well, we partner with Skills USA to design those projects, and then we recruit industry volunteers. So that's another opportunity for your listeners to get involved with CEFGA, is if they would like to help, judge these contests and help, see the future, generation of workers. The Skills USA partnership is a great way to do that. And now I will say that we are going virtual on that this year. And it's not totally virtual. What we're doing is, the students normally would come to Atlanta to build their projects. This is an event that we do at the World Congress Center. Normally, we have over 400 students from all over the state who come to the World Congress Center and build their projects on the floor. Well, this year, we're having trouble getting students to come to Atlanta. And so we decided to go virtual. But all that means is the students are going to build their project at their school. So they're going to come to their construction class and they're going to build their carpentry project or their plumbing project. And then we'll have judges judging the contest virtually. So that the teacher will show our judges what the students built, and our judges will judge the project remotely. So it's a little different, but it's again, forced innovation. Looking forward to it. But it's a really cool program. It gives students, it's sort of a Super Bowl of, construction skills. It gives the best students in our state an opportunity to showcase their skills.
Yeah. Shame on you. If you sit there and think, those that work construction, it's not a skilled industry. I mean, it's very, very much so. I mean, it's an exciting, talk about innovation. I mean, there's a lot of innovation happening here. It's an exciting industry to be in, and the programs that you offer to give people a leg up to kind of get into it, and this construction ready program where you can kind of get plugged in 20 days. I mean, that's amazing. So I mean, it's great stuff. Looking ahead to the balance of 2021, anything else you want to talk about? The industry's booming, so this skilled labor shortage is going to continue, I suspect. Any other thoughts looking ahead for the balance of the year?
It is. We're probably going to shift some of our attention more to residential because that seems to be the hotter of the markets right now. You all know that as well as I do. Commercial will most likely start to cool off a little bit. It's still really busy, and especially here in Atlanta. We still have projects like Centennial Yards, and there's still a ton of work down at the airport, and there's still a ton of tower cranes on the skyline. So They say commercial might be cooling off, but I'm not seeing it yet. But what I am seeing is residential is hotter than ever. I mean, that's what I'm hearing. And so CEFGA will work to build more relationships in the residential sector. So again, for your listeners, if we have any more residential-oriented companies, we'd love to work with you. Most of our relationships are more in the commercial industrial sector, and we're looking to diversify into residential a little bit more. But I would say the most exciting project we have coming up in 2021, we are working on a platform a little bit like LinkedIn, but specifically for craft professionals. So for those journeyman, electricians and plumbers and carpenters, to be able to develop an online profile, just like, your office professionals develop their profiles on LinkedIn, they'll be able to develop these profiles on our new platform. And then it's also a way for them to connect with employers. So whenever they get laid off or their job finishes up, this will be an easy, efficient way for them to connect with that next employer. So that's our next big project that we're tackling in 2021, and it should be coming online actually first quarter of this year. So in the next couple of months, it should be coming online, and looking forward to coming back and talking more about that down the road with you.
Oh, that sounds intriguing. Talk about a collection of skilled artisans. I mean, what a neat way to kind of get them more organized and networked. That's an exciting project. Well, gosh, Scott, I don't think we can handle any more cool stuff. A lot of amazing things going on. So again, congratulations on all this. We're running low on time. So before we let you go, should anyone need to connect with you to learn more about CEFGA and all the amazing programs, and especially the programming on the Facebook Live series, where do they go?
Yeah, so we have two sites that you can go to. One is CEFGA.org. That's CEFGA.org. We also have a ConstructionReady.org. Those are the two different portals. You can come check us out and learn more about what we do. But we would love to work with your guests, especially if they're construction companies, general contractors, trade contractors, developers. A lot of times developers are very interested in the work we do because we help local residents get to work on their projects. And that's one of our specialties through our work that we did with Arthur Blank. So developers, contractors, we'd love to work with you. Please contact us at CEFGA.org.
Scott Shelar, the president and CEO of CEFGA, the Construction Education Federation of Georgia. Scott, thanks again for joining us, and I appreciate your important work.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for having me. Good to see you guys again.
Yeah,
Good
you're
to
welcome.
See you, and appreciate, again, you making time. All right. Well, that wraps this week's All About Real Estate edition. On behalf of our show sponsor, New American Funding, my co-host, Carol Morgan, I am Todd Schnick. That's all the time we have for today. Thank you for tuning in and listening, and we'll look forward to seeing you again right here next week. We'll see you then.
Atlanta Real Estate Forum Radio is made possible by Denim Marketing, the publisher of Atlanta Real Estate Forum, Atlanta's favorite source for real estate and home building news. Denim Marketing is a comfortable fit, like your favorite pair of jeans. Denim Marketing tailors marketing strategies to meet your specific needs and niche. Try them on for size. They will work to create a perfect fit for your company's marketing program. Call them at 770-383-3360 or send an email to info@denimmarketing.com. For more information on Atlanta Real Estate Forum Radio or to inquire about being a guest, contact info@atlantarealestateforum.com. Check out the radio show by visiting atlantarealestateforum.com or by listening to the show on your favorite podcast app. And if you enjoyed today's broadcast, we'd sure appreciate a rating and review on iTunes. Thank you again for listening, and we'll see you next time on Atlanta Real Estate Forum Radio.